Some men, though, they don't just blame their wives for stuff that they've done. They'll blame anything for their shit behaviour. And this is something I've gotten into. It's pretty good. I'm someone who quite likes living well beyond his means. And for my entire adult life, everyone around me has just been telling me I'm a dickhead who can't budget. But it turns out I went and got myself diagnosed with something. So, like everything else in my life, it's quite clearly not my fault. I knew I was a victim of some description. And while I'm here too, I'm not going to sink it into mental illness. It's bloody, that's crazy. What no one's reiterating for me with mental illness, though, is how great it is for people like professional athletes and myself to just rebrand our irresponsible shit behaviour on something that is largely and conveniently intangible. Excluding, of course, your more visible mental illnesses such as bodybuilding. But the actual mental illness, though, it is a serious issue. It's not something to poke fun at. Mental illness is serious now. It's as serious now as it is popular. And while I'm not a practitioner, I've never really had the spare time, I have dabbled. And I, of course, sought treatment to find out exactly why the world hasn't provided me with everything I deserve. And along the way, I found out that I have never actually done anything wrong. Although pre-self-diagnosis, some of the things the black dog did on my behalf, Jesus Christ. If my condition allowed me to feel some form of shame or embarrassment, I'd be ashamed and embarrassed at what the black dog had done on my behalf. One time, the black dog didn't turn up to work for 2 months straight. I lost my job for that. There was no support network set up there for people like me who don't really like working. One time, right, the black dog sent some lewd photographs to the sister of a colleague of mine. She didn't want them, evidently. I got sacked for that, even after I explained that those photos came from a very dark place. My crotch. One time, right, I went down to the pub to blow the froth off an icy cold jar of suds on a hot night after a hard day's yakka. And while I was down there, the black dog has drunk 2 jugs of beer in quick succession and become quite belligerent. And he went up for his 3rd jug at the bar, and the bartender said, "Sir," which is historically the worst possible start to a sentence when addressing the black dog when he's had a skinful. He said, "Sir, why don't you make your 3rd jug a mid-strength?" To which the black dog replied, "Why don't you get fucked?" Do I look like a heavily pregnant woman to you? And then they booted me out on the street for that. At which point the black dog has busted 3 of my knuckles on a passing teenager's face. I didn't know the kid. The black dog must have had some history with him. And then society has decided to side with the 17-year-old boy with the broken jaw, leaving me to think, fucking hell, what about the real victim here? Me.
Losing someone is always hard, but do you know when it's the hardest? When it's your fault. Okay, so music has always been a big part of my life. Festivals, parties, Shazam. I've never taken music seriously. And then last year, thank you so much, I'll probably have to do that bit again, I reckon. And there's a track playing, so I reckon let's start that bit again. Thank you. No, we won't go for a piss. Not until he's doing a really important bit that's quiet. That's really... Okay, good. You ever seen someone have a meltdown before? Right. When she started leaving. No. Please. Number 1 only, please. Do we need to wait for her? No, guess not. Never have felt so watched and yet so alone. All right, let's do the bit. I'm going to talk about loss for a little while. Losing someone is always hard, but do you know when it's the hardest? When it's your fault. So music's always been a big part of my life. Festivals, parties, Shazam. But I've never taken music seriously. And then last year, 2 things changed my life. I got AirPods. Those are the 2 things. I knew I shouldn't have got them. I knew they were expensive and disposable. And I knew that the people making them were throwing themselves off the roof of the factory. But I thought, they'd already made them by then, so why not? I got them for myself, but my God, these AirPods, they brought me closer to other people. All of a sudden, I'm not doing the dishes on my own because I'm listening to his right-wing podcast. I'm not on the toilet on my own because I'm on FaceTime with my dad. Careless, maybe. Wireless, absolutely. I could do anything, I could be anything, you know? I'm at a comedy show and I'm laughing away, but I'm not laughing at the comedian on stage. I'm listening to my set from yesterday.
Those are the 2 things.
Oh, I should have got more. And then one day I'm looking for the AirPods and they're gone. They're nowhere to be seen. I'm wireless-less. I've got to go out onto the street and see other people wearing AirPods. I see this guy and I say to him, lad, you look after those. One day they'll be gone. But he doesn't listen to me. The noise cancelling is excellent on those things. It really is. It really is. You see a guy on the bus and he's playing music through his speaker. I know it's annoying, but be kind to that man. He's grieving. He's lost 2 friends. Maybe the reason the people threw themselves off the roof of the factory, it wasn't working conditions. It's because they had to say goodbye to AirPods every single day. I think AirPods can change anyone's life, man. I really do. You know, maybe if Hitler had had a pair, maybe he wouldn't have killed himself.
In the show, I'm trying to answer a question, right, that I get asked all the time. And the question is not, why are you wearing Liberace's pyjamas? The question is, how did you get into comedy, right? And of course, the tone of the question depends on who's asking, right? So sometimes, because you do this for a job, because you can speak in public, people think that your opinion matters, right? And it doesn't. Comedians go on question time now. I've got a question for you. What the fuck are you doing on there? Right? This is true. I got asked not so long ago, would Rachel like to come on Channel 4 and talk about the experiences of refugees in the UK? I only moved from Manchester to London. I mean, next week, are they going to have some bloke from Afghanistan on talking about what it's like being a woman in comedy? Because you talk about people, because you talk for a living, they ask you to go on things. Sometimes you get asked to go on local radio, right? That's the exciting one. When they've exhausted the parade of nutters that phone in, right? Who's still phoning into the radio? I think if you phone the radio, you need to be sectioned. No sort of, you're not going to be analysed, you're not going to be given medication, sectioned. That's what I think, right? But they ask you to go on. And, they'll sort of introduce you. You'll get to go on the breakfast show if you're lucky, because that's the one that most people listen to. And you'll be introduced a bit like this. They'll go, that was wet, wet, wet with Love Is All Around. And now for something a little more dry, dry, dry. It's the humour of comedienne Rachel Fairburn. Another time that you're waiting to be introduced, just this noise in the background like this. You're like, what is that? Is that an orgasm in pug? And it's not. It's the breakfast show co-host, right? Who's often a woman whose entire existence is just to laugh at whatever the male host says. You know, a little bit like that thing in Star Wars that sits near Jabba the Hutt. You know? And they'll get round to asking you the question, they'll have to ask you. They'll go, so Rachel, tell us, how did you get into comedy? And they're about as interested in hearing my answer as I'm as interested in hearing about your air fryer. Yeah, and when I say you know exactly who you are, right? Who in here has got an air fryer? Scum. Scum. You people are scum. Right? This, I swear to God, if you've got an air fryer, this is a rare occasion out for you. It is. And you sit at home and you like to sit there and you think, oh, my mates are getting dead boring, they never go out anymore. They're out without you. Because you make everyone uncomfortable. Because you sit there and you talk about your little miniature oven like you're fucking it. There's an air fryer magazine now. But you knew that if you've got an air fryer, you've got one hidden at home in the toilet cistern, haven't you? And when everyone goes out to work, you take it out and you rub away to it like a smackhead with a scratch card. I've seen you people in action, right? You go out, everyone will be having a nice time, but you just want to talk about the air fryer. Someone's having a normal conversation. Oh, the kids are back to school in September. Oh, yeah, one day there'll be adults with air fryers of their own. Yeah. You know, someone's been dumped, you know, having a hard time. Yeah, well, you know, when I got divorced, I thought I'd never find love again. And I was right, you know, but at least I've got my air fryer. You know, 10 pints in when everyone's talking about conspiracy theories. They can't even let it up then. They're like, oh, yeah, well, I know what they say, you know, 9/11 was an inside job. I mean, the thing is, my air fryer is good, but it can't melt steel beams. You people are going to hell. That's right. Murderers, sex offenders, air fryer owners. That's where you're going. Hell. But you'd like that, wouldn't you? Because it's hot down there. Oh, it'd be like being in a big air fryer, wouldn't it? Oh, think about all the new recipes you could try. Oh, you could fry dog cum. And you could top it with Jeffrey Epstein's toenail clippings. And you could make it into biscuits and you could serve it to the devil and Jimmy Savile.
Every time I think we're a modern country, I remember that we have a queen. We have a queen. We have a queen. You know, a queen. Like in Mordor, a queen. And she has power. We justify it. We go, well, she has no power. She has power over people's lives. Do you remember that guy, Tim Peake, the astronaut? Lived on the International Space Station for 3 months. An astronaut. Is there still any job more modern, more futuristic than an astronaut? And he came back to Earth, and what's his reward? The Queen will make him a knight. I must have looked at that headline for 3 weeks. Why would an astronaut become a knight? Do you have any idea how thick we look to other countries? This is the only place on Earth where the Queen can turn an astronaut into a knight. I'm going to say that again. I really don't think you're listening. The Queen of England, a woman on a throne, turned an astronaut from space into a knight. And not only did we accept it, we viewed it as a promotion. We speculate in the newspapers, well, maybe the astronaut will become a knight. Why would an astronaut ever become a knight? I'm losing my mind on this fucking island. It doesn't go astronaut, then knight. That's not that. It goes knight, 600 years, astronaut. That's what it goes. You're a damn good computer programmer, Tim. You're the best computer programmer we've ever seen. So tomorrow you start your new job, town crier. The problem with science fiction, that's what I'm saying. Problem with science fiction. I always loved science fiction my whole life, but they always got it wrong. Because they always showed all this incredible modern stuff, which we now have. What they never showed was all the crap from the past would still be clogging up the system. You know, there's no episode of Star Trek where they find asbestos on the Enterprise. You know? Future and the past. Everyone's in one of those factions. Everyone. I always thought I was in the future faction. That's what I always thought. I'm a modern man, you know, but I don't know. I must be wedded to the past on some level. I must be. I've still got a Hotmail account. Yeah, I'm on Hotmail still. I'm loyal. Anyone here on Hotmail? Genuinely, you're on Hotmail. Welcome, honestly. It is so rare that Amish people come to comedy. Thank you so much for being here. Are you about my age? Are you similar age to me? No, not at all. How old are you? Far beyond my age. Cool. Great spirit. All I remember is when I was 14 years old. 14 years old, that's how long I've had this thing. 14, we were put into a shit computer room in our school, and the lesson was get a Hotmail account. That was the whole lesson. That took an hour. And then all my friends changed theirs. Of course they did. You're 14, you choose something so juvenile, you have to change it. You can't apply for a job if your contact is bonerbitch2k@hotmail.com. But I'm loyal to Hotmail. I'm loyal. Hotmail are interesting. They're making a lot of claims at the moment. They made one recently where they said, Hotmail are the only email provider who will never sell your data. Which is, I mean, that would be so great, wouldn't it, if anyone cared about their data? I mean, if anyone even knew what that meant, what a great gesture, because no one cares. No, we're told every day to care. You should be pissed off. Companies are stealing your data from Facebook. They're using it to manipulate elections. No, but people were more pissed off when you two gave them an album. Right, that was it. But that was a violation. But I care. I care. Because of my situation. Because whenever there's a breach, a big data breach, every 6 months they seem to be happening now, we get all the emails. We get all the regular emails from regular companies that we sign up to. So, your privacy is paramount to everyone here at Deliveroo. Is it, really? What a claim from Deliveroo. A company that once posted a cheese toastie through my letterbox. What a claim. But as I said, I've had the same email address since I was 14, so I get thousands of emails. Thousands. Everything I've ever signed up for in my life comes through. Whole eras of my life I'd forgotten about, or frankly wanted to forget about. Your privacy is paramount to everyone here at the Lost Profits merchandise store. Please. Please let me forget, please. It's interesting, isn't it? Isn't it interesting? It's interesting just how many companies have my email address. How many companies I've given my email address to. It shows how quickly our relationship with the internet has changed. Because once so long ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, there'd be stuff in the news, stuff in the papers, every day going, don't put any personal details on the internet. Don't give them your real name. Don't even look at it, you swine. And now, I mean, I don't know about you, I'm at a point where I am actively annoyed if I have to type in my whole bank card number. What do you mean you don't have all my bank details on site? What sort of evil corporation are you? That's how fast it changes.
Me and my family, we came over to Australia when I was the age of 11, and we're from near Mumbai, right? So 20 million people packed into one place. So when we landed in Brisbane at 6 p.m., my dad grabbed my arm and went, I think there's been an evacuation. It's like, there's nobody around. He was terrified, right? Then we're walking around, we're looking for food. We see the familiar golden arches of Macca's. We're like, I'm sure this will have the wide variety of vegetarian burgers like back at home. Can't wait to get a McLoughlin tikki. And in we went, and we left with just green apples. And here's the thing, I'd never seen a green apple in my life. Granny Smith, she's from New South Wales. She tried to make a regular tasting apple, fucked up, and made this thing, right? But I had no idea. Now it feels like I'm on a different planet, right? The food is a different color, the trees are a different color. I'm like, I'm sure it still tastes just like a regular apple. So I took a big heaping bite of the thing, and the explosion of bitterness in my mouth was worse than all the racial epithets I faced since then. Because this was me being betrayed by something I believed in. Finally, I understood judging something based on the color of its skin. I finally got it. School was so different in India, right? We had 70 kids packed into one classroom. You have to stand up when you talk to the teacher, like military kind of stuff. And the roll call teacher in India, she didn't know my name, right? I was number 22 for 6 years. So when I walked into primary school in Australia, and I saw 15 kids sitting on the floor, I thought, fuck, the rest must be stuck in traffic. I walked in, she goes, Suraj, come in. I'm like, she knows my name, this must be a trap. I'm terrified, right? Discipline was so different as well. In India, we had this music teacher that loved her chalkboard duster, you know, with the heavy wooden handle. And anytime anyone would talk, She'd pick that up, hoof it at the kid. Here's the thing, she had terrible aim. So she'd routinely just hit an innocent kid in the head. But instead of apologizing, she'd go, let that be a lesson to you. Like, what kind of Castro dictatorship shit is this? Like, I burnt down one village so the others will know. So when I was disruptive and talkative in class in Australia, the teacher went, Suraj, you see that chair over there? I'm like, she's gonna hit me with the chair. She said, you're gonna have to sit in that chair and not talk for 15 minutes. I thought, fuck, I'm gonna love Australia. Very nice. Then 6 months later, I started in high school in Australia. In high school, we had two options. We had assembly, which was 400 kids in a tin shed roof, hot, uncomfortable, or there was 25 kids in religion in aircon, so I found God. This guy is very nice, yes, so cozy. Now, at the time, I had a strong Indian accent, right? I answered some questions in religion class. Some of the kids giggle. They're kids, they're gonna giggle. This is how the teacher decides to deal with that situation. She goes, Suraj, why don't you go out to lunch quickly? I'll have a chat with them first. A few minutes later, a mate of mine came over and told me what she said. Apparently she said, hey, be nice to the new kid. Otherwise, sometimes they can turn into school shooters. What a way to ingratiate me to my new friends. And it really put a kibosh on my plan to shoot up the school as well. I can't do that. Now they're going to see that coming. Also, like, school in those early days was fascinating, right? Like, I was trying to fit in. Like, I heard these two teachers, like 30-odd-year-old white women talking. And, like, in my childhood, it was so different. Like, when I was 9 years old, I nearly died from malaria and hepatitis jaundice. Do not recommend. Right? If you ever get the opportunity, don't get that. Now, I heard these two women talking, and one of them went, oh my God, of course I did that on the weekend. I am such a cancer baby. And I was like, I'm a malaria and hepatitis baby. If that helps. And she's like, oh my God, sweetie, no, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, you had the worst thing. I'm fine. What are you talking about, right? I'm an only child. Give me a yell if you're an only child. Yeah. That's exactly as lonely as my childhood was. Just one person in the distance going, yup. But here's the thing, right? We need only children. There are some things only children can do. There are some inventions only children could have invented. Like the guy who invented squash. He saw two siblings playing tennis and went, how can I make this sadder? Same with the guy who invented juggling. If you play catch once with a sibling, you don't invent a game where you play catch with yourself. I got married recently. It's quite exciting. My wife, me and my wife, we're called an interracial couple. I'm brown, she's interracial. No, she's a white lady, right? She likes to exercise, she likes to work out, she likes to do yoga. She tries to get me to do yoga. I'm like, don't force your culture onto me. All right? We're very similar in a lot of ways, but in a couple of key ways we're different. Like how quickly we fall asleep. I take half an hour to fall asleep. Her head, as soon as it hits the pillow, she's gone. It's like, how good was your childhood that you're not spending 30 minutes just processing trauma? I'm doing right shoulder, left shoulder, leg in, leg out. She's snoring the whole time. And she likes to listen to true crime podcasts as she goes to sleep. But she falls asleep in seconds, so now it's just me and the podcast. And I'm hearing it come out of her headphones, and it's going, and his head was separated from his body. It's terrifying, right? Very concerning. Another little way me and my wife are different is how we watch movies. Like, together, we'll pick a nice movie. And then I'll sit down and do this crazy, insane thing where I'll watch the movie. She's immediately on her phone, the Instagram, TikTok, 2 inches from her face. When she's feeling ambitious, she gets a secondary headphone, secondary video. Right? Like we're watching Shogun. She doesn't know Japanese. She doesn't care. She hasn't looked up at the screen in 45 seconds. How do I know? Because I'm not looking at the screen either. I'm counting the seconds looking at her. Now no one's watching the screen, right? Sometimes she'll come to my shows, sit in the back and watch videos of Jerry Seinfeld. It's like, this guy's great. You should be more like him. Another way we're different is our walking speed, right? One of us walks a little faster than... I'm the slow walker. Of course I'm the... What a twist! What a twist. Of course I'm the slow walker. I need hydration to talk to you guys for an hour. But here's the thing, right? As the fast walker, she can walk slower much more easily than I can walk faster. But she doesn't because she's inconsiderate. It's so much easier to walk slower if you're the faster one, but she doesn't do it. The big concession she's made now is she'll walk 50 steps ahead, pull over, and wait for me to catch up. Then I'll finally catch up. She's gone again. I'm about to... From a distance, it looks like we're doing high-impact interval training. It's brutal, you know? Recently, we were on one of these adjacent walks, and we bumped into some friends. And they were like, what's wrong? Are you fighting? You're walking 50 feet apart. I was like, we're not fighting. She's just inconsiderate. I was like, it sounds like you're fighting. And I was like, it looks bad to friends. It must look even worse to strangers. Because what they see is a small white lady walking quickly, nervously looking over her shoulder. And then I'm like, oh my God, we're seeing a crime happen in real time. Someone please call the cops. But that's love. Love is fascinating, right? Because every Hollywood movie tells us love is the most powerful feeling you'll ever feel. The most powerful feeling you'll ever feel. I don't know if that's true. Like, have you ever been in the leftmost lane with the green left arrow, but the dude in front of you wants to go straight? You know, the vicious rage you feel? Have you ever felt that much love for anyone? And it's not even anger, right? It's other feelings as well, like fear. Like, have you ever locked eyes with a cockroach and seen it take flight? When a 2D problem becomes a 3D problem. That's not even my biggest fear. Right? My biggest fear is seeing an end school zone sign without having seen the first sign. Now you're telling me I can't do anything about it now? It's brutal, right? I was like, okay, maybe love is the most powerful. Maybe it's the most resilient, right? Because why do we unguard ourselves so much in the pursuit of love? Maybe it's the most resilient. And I was like, yeah, that sounds nice. And I believed it for years. Until I caught up with a mate of mine that I hadn't seen for ages. And he went, Suraj, I just got married. She's an amazing lady. The greatest thing that ever happened to me. I'd take a bullet for her. I'd die for her. I went, fantastic. Then I caught up with him 6 months later. I was like, how's it going? He's like, don't even say her name. I was like, what happened to the bullet thing? That's when I realized romantic love is actually the most fragile, right? It can be everything one day and nothing the next. In fact, every other kind of love is more resilient than romantic love. Like, take, for example, I love pizza. 10 years from now, I'm gonna love pizza. That is more guaranteed than all our romantic loves put together. Isn't that terrifying? Like 10 years from now, you'll be in Woolies with a partner different to the one you have now. You look over to the freezer section and see a pizza and you go, I bet Suraj still loves pizza. And I wish her the best wherever she is. The lady I took to Suraj's show. You know? Coming over to Australia as well, like, I knew English fluently, but I didn't know all, like, the sayings and idioms and catchphrases. And you really need those to effectively communicate. Like, there's more than one way to skin a cat. What does that mean? That means there's more than one way to do something. Just fucking say that. Why are we butchering Fluffy here? It's not even shorter, right? So I thought, okay, let me learn all the idioms, all the sayings. And I thought I'd learn all of them, but there was one I didn't know. I thought had a domestic meant had a domestic flight. So I went to work the next day. They were like, how's your weekend? I was like, terrible. They're like, what happened? I was like, I had the worst domestic. They're like, oh my God, why? I was like, first of all, the food was terrible. They're like, what an abusive asshole this guy is. They're like, maybe you just need more space. I'm like, yeah, but that costs extra.
Before I had a kid, the majority of my day was spent unsubscribing to emails. That was a big day. That's a lot of work, unsubscribing to an email. You click it, it goes, are you sure you want to unsubscribe? And you're like, yes. Well, do you want to manage your preferences? I guess so. Well, you got to log in. Well, I forgot my password. Well, you got to reset your password. All right, we've sent you an email. That's the opposite of what I wanted to happen. You open the email, they're like, here's a verification code. I'm like, what do I do with that? They're like, take it outside. What? Take it outside. There's a man in a robe with a beard. Tell him the verification code and he will give you the sword of destiny. Take the sword of destiny to the tallest mountain and slay the troll. And the blood of the troll will seep down the hilt. Stand on the summit and scream your verification code into the air. And an angel will descend from a cloud. His name is Alessandro. He will wrap his wings around you. And he will hold you close and kiss you passionately and say, are you sure you want to unsubscribe? You'll be like, Alessandro, I don't know how you got my email in the first place. I used to be the guy who opened every email. You know, there's two kinds of people. People with a clean inbox and people with that little red square with 7,000 unread emails. I used to be the first guy because I'd open every email. I'd enjoy every email because every email had a bit of personality. Like if you got a free trial for a streaming service, I like that email because it's a very seductive email. They write it to be sexy, don't they? They're like, hey, big guy, do you want a free trial for a streaming service? I'm like, yeah, I'd love a free trial. What's your credit card? I thought you said it was free. I just want to look at it. Send me a photo. Seductive email. I really like a security alert email. Those are so funny, aren't they? They're so neurotic. You know when you log into an account from a different browser and this security alert email screams into your inbox in such a panic like, oh my God! What's wrong? Someone just logged into your account! Oh my God, from where? From your house! I'm in my house. Are they still there? No, it's just me. They used your laptop. I'm on my laptop. And your password. I'm pretty sure it's me. Are you sure? I'm sure. Here are 9 photos. Tell me which ones are traffic lights. My house is chaos now with a baby. And we have a dog. A few years ago, we took a mortgage out on a cavoodle. If you don't know, a cavoodle is a cross between a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel and a bucket of cash. It is a fancy dog. Oh my goodness, we need 3 bowls. We need food, still, and sparkling. It's a fancy dog. Does anyone else have a cavoodle? Yeah? What did you pay for it? 3,000, that's pretty good, right? They can go for like $6,000, these dogs. And they're very like affectionate, but also needy. So when we had our baby, my dog was jealous and he was constantly barking. So my son's like crawling into the bedroom, my dog's barking. So I tried the spray bottle, spray water on them for a bit of discipline. That didn't work, he was just loud and wet. My son gets into the bedside table drawers. I'm like trying to stop him, the dog's still barking. So I tried the can of air, you spray air in their face. Great, now he just looks like he's in a Mariah Carey video clip. Hair blowing in the breeze. Then my son gets into my wife's drawer and I'm like, no, that's Mum's toy, don't break that. That would put a lot of pressure on Dad. The dog's still barking, so I'm like feeding him cheese. That's the only thing that stops him from barking, just cheese. Then the vet tells me off and says, you can't give the dog that much cheese. I'm like, lady, it's either cheese or chocolate, but that dog has to stop. But the vet tried to tell me, like, it's our fault for not training the dog before the baby arrived. The vet told me, before the baby gets here, take the dog for a walk with the empty stroller so he gets used to the idea of the baby. Yeah, try walking around the neighbourhood with a dog and an empty stroller as people walk past going like, oh. They're not going to let me have a baby after that. This was the craziest day we had. I was changing my son's diaper and the dog's barking and I'm just ignoring the dog and focusing on my son, being in the moment. And as that was happening, the dog jumped onto the table and ate a diaper whole. And I freak out. I call the vet. I'm like, what do I do? The vet's like, oh, yeah, that's going to absorb him from the inside out. I'm like, no! So I like race to the vet. I'm holding my baby, and then as soon as we get to the vet, they immediately induce vomiting. Not the dog. I just looked at the bill. I'm like, whoa. They pump the dog's stomach. They pull the whole diaper out. I was so relieved we got in there just in time. It cost $600. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Money doesn't matter. I love my family. I love my dog. It's all good. And as soon as we got home, I opened the door. The dog bolted back in, jumped back on the table, and ate a second diaper! So if anyone would like to buy a dog for $1,200 for a cavoodle, that's a bargain. But I don't judge my life based on money or material things. I judge it based on achievements. And I'm proud to say, a few months ago, I stopped taking antidepressants. And I am back on them because my son vomited on my favourite shirt and I cried. So I'm back on them. Well, I came off because when I had my son, I'm like, I want him to know the real me. And then I thought, nah. I want him to know the put-together me. You don't do that with any other illness, do you? Like, you don't hear people with diabetes going, no, I don't take insulin. I just want to be the real me. You know, dead. I know why I'm on antidepressants, by the way. It's because my parents are both 5'6". That's the main reason. But throughout my childhood, my parents encouraged me to play basketball 3 times a week for 10 years, dreaming of being in the NBA, when they knew full well I would never grow tall enough to open the freezer without standing on a chair. That is not fair on a child. Baby boomers loved saying things like, you could do anything you set your mind to. Really? Grow another foot and turn black? I don't think so, Mum. If my son ever picks up a basketball, I will kick it out of his hands. I'll be like, follow your realistic dreams. Yes, you can be in the Olympics, but it's going to have to be admin. It's not going to be the good stuff. Now I realise that I'm up here complaining about one dog and one baby. Would anyone else like to vent? Who's got like 3 or 4 kids? Anyone got... Yeah, how many? 4 kids? Can we beat 4 kids? You got 6 kids? Some stepkids?
No, full blood.
Full blood, like we're talking about muggles or something. Full blood. The chosen one. Voldemort, not Harry. You have 6 kids. So, well, give a round of applause. 6 kids. I I appreciate you, Gabby. I'm sure you're listening to me, one dog or one baby are like, rookie numbers. I appreciate it. All right. I'm going to tell you about the two biggest life-changing moments I've ever experienced. The first was when my son was born. Not exactly when he was born. It was a few moments after. So my wife, Lucy, gave that last push, and out came that purple swollen alien thing. And if you've never seen a newborn for the first time, you're looking at it like, are they going to fix that? Like, they've got like a cone head and a flat face, and they're all purple. It's so weird, right? And then, no, it's not what they look like in the pamphlet. So the doctor's holding my beautiful son and turns to me and says, Simon, would you like to cut the umbilical cord? I'm like, yes, absolutely. I was so excited. This is my duty as a dad. And they give me the little scissors and I grab that string of calamari and I cut the umbilical cord. And the moment that I did, an alpha male appeared. He's like, that's not how you hold the cord, mate. You gotta let the cable do the work. Just find the loop. The second biggest life-changing moment happened a few weeks later. And it was pretty chaotic. Having a kid is, it's full of sleep deprivation. Now, you've heard this before from parents. If you've never experienced the sleep deprivation of a kid, it's like when you walk into a room, you go, oh, what did I come in here for? It's like that. But you walk into a room, you go, oh, why the fuck did I have kids? That is the feeling, like you're constantly just having micro naps because you never get a full sleep. You go to the fridge, have a micro nap, open the fridge, have a micro nap, shut the fridge, you're covered in cottage cheese, you don't know how it got there, right? It's just really intense. And the reason it happens, it's not just because the baby wakes up and is crying, it's because you never fully get to sleep because you're unsure of what the right baby sounds are, right? They don't sleep like adults do with this is how babies sound. Oh, thank God, right? Oh my goodness, right? You're just constantly just poking them to make sure is it wiggling? Yes, great, right? It's really intense. So you're sleep deprived. I had stopped taking antidepressants. The dog was going crazy. I was just overwhelmed. And I was getting to the point where I was about to have a breakdown. But before I had the breakdown, I checked my emails. So it helps calm me down. And I opened an email and it was offering me some work in Sydney. And I just thought, oh yeah, I could sleep on the plane. I could sleep at the hotel. I'll sleep on the plane on the way back. This is perfect. I'll ask my wife. So I turned to Lucy and I used some gentle husbanding. And I said, please let me go. I'll do anything. Let me go. I'll do all the cooking. I'll do all the cleaning. I'll give birth to the next baby, please. And Lucy was amazing. She said, of course, you've been awesome. You can have that night. Just make sure you book the latest flight possible to get to work on time. I'm like, absolutely, no problem. The day comes along, I'm cleaning the house, I'm locking the diapers up, I'm doing everything I need to do to keep it safe. And I call an Uber to get to my flight. And the Uber cancels. I'm like, oh, that's not good. The next one cancels. I'm like, what are they doing? Are they driving past, seeing me with vomit on my shirt, going, yeah, I'm not picking him up. Finally, the Uber comes. I'm late now. I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, no, I'm going to miss my flight. If I miss my flight, there's no point of going. I'm not going to get my sleep. I finally get to the airport. The line of security's so long. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm on edge. I'm worried my gate's going to close. I go through. I forgot to take my laptop out. They make me go around again. I'm panicking now. My gate's about to shut. I get through security again. And then a security guard comes up to me. He's like, excuse me, mate, we're just doing the random bomb test. If you can just come over here. And I was so sleep deprived and so anxious that I said no. And I just ran. My toe was broken, so I'm limping, right? And I finally get to the gate, and the woman's shutting the gate. And I'm like, no, please let me in. She goes, sorry, the gate's closed. I'm like, it's open. She goes, it's basically closed, but it's literally open. No, I'm sorry, it's shut. We can't let you on. I'm like, I have a child. She's like, with you? I'm like, no, I'm trying to escape. She was like, all right, hurry up. Come on, get in. Thank you, lady. I run onto the plane. I run down the aisle. I find my seat. I sit down and I am so relieved. I was so happy I was about to have my sleep. And as my eyes start to shut, I see walk onto the plane 3 police officers. Now, some people ask me after the shows, hey, is that story true? Yep. So I'm watching these 3 cops come down the aisle and I'm freaking out. I'm starting to sweat and shake because I've never been in trouble before, right? I'm a goody two-shoes. I don't know where that expression comes from. I've never heard of a naughty no-shoes. But I used to be a Boy Scout. I was a Boy Scout even for the Boy Scouts. Like on Scout camp, I saw some boys smoking and I told the camp leader. And they gave me a badge with a picture of a rat. That's how much of a Boy Scout I am. I used to be an altar boy for the Catholic Church, right? I did everything for the church. I vacuumed, I dusted, I burned incriminating documents, whatever they needed. I saw some other altar boys drinking the sacramental wine. I'm like, hey, that's the worst thing you could do in the Catholic Church. So anyway, I'm on the plane. And the cops are coming down the aisle and I'm panicking. And the cop up the front has his phone out and he's showing people down the aisle, have you seen this man? Have you seen this man? Have you seen this man? Finally gets to me, shoves the phone in my face. He says, have you seen this man? And it is a grainy security footage photo of my face. So I have to do my best Oscar-winning performance, like, no. Very handsome, but no. And the cop behind him, she had to say, Dale, that's him. I'm like, great, Sherlock's on board. They grab me from my seat, they grab my bag, they pull me off the flight, they take me to the police station at the airport and put me in an interrogation room. And it's just like you imagine. It's white and it has like the mirror on the side and the 3 cops are standing over me. And you know 2 of these cops. The first cop is good cop, right? Very nice guys. Like, don't worry, mate, we'll get it all sorted out. The second cop, she was bad cop. Oh, she looked at me like, you're fucked. She had a big tattoo on her neck and she just, like, I could read her face. It just said, I killed my ex-husband. And I got away with it. But the third cop was the worst cop I've ever met. I'm not sure if you've ever come across a cop like this. I hope you never do. This cop was disappointed dad cop. Oh, bald head, big arms and a pot belly, hand on his hip like, mate, I've done some dumb things in my life. That's how you know an alpha male in Australia. They speak from the gut. Life. I'm a beta male. I speak out of my nose like, g'day, you having a good night? Yeah, sound like a bird. Yeah, ma, ma, ma. Alpha males in Australia, life. I've done some dumb things in my life, but that's the dumbest thing you could have done. I could have you banned from every airport for the next 5 years. I could have you charged and you will be convicted because we have you on camera and you will not be allowed into other countries for the rest of your life. And I just start crying. I feel so miserable. I feel so guilty. They take my bag, my keys, my wallet, my phone. They leave me in the interrogation room alone for 5 hours without a break, without a phone call, with no food. And I just feel terrified, but I also just feel ashamed. I'm like, what have I done? I've just become a dad. What kind of role model am I? I'm about to be charged as a terrorist. This is horrible. I can't believe I've done this. Like, how did I get to this stage? I'm not going to be allowed to go overseas, right? I won't be able to use my Costco membership to its full potential. My son's American. What if he moves there? I just feel absolutely ashamed. And after 5 hours, disappointed dad cop comes back in by himself. And I was a bit worried he might like take his belt off or something. I don't know. He's going to punish me. I don't know. But he gave me my bag back, my keys, my wallet, my phone. And he said, we all do dumb things when we're new parents. And I think, oh, they must have broken into my phone and seen 7,000 photos of me with my newborn baby. So we've had a discussion here at the station. We've decided that you're quite white. So clearly not a threat. So we're going to let you off with a fine, just as long as you don't do anything stupid like that again. And I was crying, and I stood up, and I gave him a hug, and I was just like, I'm so sorry. He's like, it's all right, mate. I'm like, I'm really sorry, Dad. He's like, what? I'm like, never mind. And that was the second biggest life-changing moment for me, because 3 very important things happened in that interrogation room. The first was that I had a very positive male role model to look up to. The second was that I realized I need to look after myself to be able to look after other people. If I take care of my own mental health, my own sleep, my own exercise, then I'll be in a good state to look after my family. And the third thing that happened in that interrogation room was that I had the best sleep that I've ever had in my life.